Well, Vic, welcome to the garage, man. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for being here with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking me along to the party.
Yeah. So tell us about Star Collector. We have to ask, did the name come from did you get the name from the Monkees, the Goffin King Monkees song?
Did indeed.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite bands when I was a real little tyke. And the first bands that I remember ever hearing were the Beatles and the Monkees. So they kind of always stuck. Well, apparently, yeah, with buying 18 copies of Wildlife. So it just kind of stuck there. And then my first band was a total mod band. We looked exactly like the Jam and covered Jam stuff and wrote stuff that was kind of, somewhere between the Beatles, the Dave Clark Five, the Who, and the Jam.
Sure.
And it was great fun. And then when it got time, and then I went through, a couple other bands. And then when we got to the time to when I started Star Collector, which has actually been around for quite some time now. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look into the sordid history.
The late 90s, right?
Yeah, it actually started in 96. Our first one came out in 99. So it's been, 26 years?
Yeah.
This year. Man,
Blink of an eye.
Exactly. Can't even believe I hear myself saying that. Jesus.
Vic, have you been able to keep the same lineup or who all's in the band right now?
Well, okay, so it's more complicated than it should be for that with that question. But basically, so that band that I mentioned earlier, the Mods, was a 3-piece. I was a drummer back when I started, and my brother Adam was a bass player, and our guitar player's name was Dave. And we all kind of went our separate ways. And then in 96, after a band that I had played with, the guitar player that's in the band now, Steve, we call the Monkey. So me and Monkey played together for a while, and then that band broke up. So in this short time where I wasn't playing in a band and had switched to guitar by then, I got a phone call just out of nowhere from Dave, who was the guitar player from the Mods, saying, I'm thinking of moving to Vancouver. You want to get together and write some songs? And it was the first time I hadn't been in a band in like 10 years. And I was like, we had a really good chemistry as writers when we were kids. So I thought, what the hell? Sure, come on over. And we wrote a ton of stuff, probably 2 albums worth of stuff in like 6 or 7 months.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
And the whole first album is basically a good chunk of those songs.
Sorry to interrupt, Vic. What's the first album?
The first one's called Demo Model 256. And it's got some stuff we still play to this day. And I'm still really fond of it. And we had some really good people work on it. There's quite a well-known producer, Garth Richardson, whose dad, Jack Richardson, did Love It to Death with Alice Cooper and a bunch of Guess Who albums. So Garth's a famous producer in his own right. And he ended up mixing it for us, and everything was great. But then right at the very end of recording, we had like 2 songs left to go. And Dave things didn't work out with him and I. So Steve, who I'd played with for about 6 years in the interim. Steve came into the studio one day and heard what Dave and I were doing and really liked it. So when things fell apart with Dave, I just said, do you just want to come in and help me finish the album? We had a drummer by then, Ringo. And I said, just come in and help me and Ringo finish the album. And Garth was going to mix it. So there was a lot going on, even though I was losing my main writing partner, lead guitar player. And Steve said, sure, I really like what you guys are doing. I'll happily come help you finish the album. So we finished the album, Garth mixed it, got a lot of really good response. So we just kind of kept going from there. And Steve and Ringo and I were together for 21 years.
Oh, wow.
Well, just a 3-piece.
No. Tons of bass players.
Okay.
We've had, and no shit, 19 different people have played bass at some point in this band. That's actually the truth.
They're not like Spinal Tap's drummer. They're not spontaneously combusting or anything.
Yeah, that gets mentioned a fair bit, but Spinal Tap's got nothing on us, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, although they did have like 3 bass players all playing Big Bottom at the same time. We've always had ours in succession. So So okay, so we went through a lot of bass players, and then when it came, now fast forward a bunch of albums and a bunch of bass players, and we took a break around beginning of 2009 after we'd done 4 albums and toured Europe a few times, played at the Cavern.
Yeah.
Speaking of Beatles fans,
Right.
went over there and did that, the IPO festival that David Bash runs, and played in Germany and played in Scotland and the Netherlands, like total dream stuff for a bunch of
Right.
Canadian
Yeah.
kids, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And at the time we were, surprise, without a bass player. So the first tour, my brother Adam comes back into the picture and filled in for us. So I got to play the Cavern with Steve and Ringo, who are like these great guys, and my brother. So it was kind of like a dream come true for, like you, a real Beatles fan growing up, right?
Music fanatic in general. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's great. It was great. And then, so we came back, had some more bass players, and then we took a break around 2009, and everyone kind of started doing their own thing for a few years. We stayed friends. We never actually broke up. We just kind of just organically stopped rehearsing. I stopped writing. We stopped booking rehearsals and gigs. And like, I had kids, and our drummer,
that damn real life got in the way. Dang it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it just sort of happened. It happened. And our drummer bought a restaurant at the time, and Steve became a marathon runner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and still does. And he ran the Boston Marathon, in fact, which is pretty crazy. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah, I know. It's too crazy for me to even get my head around sometimes. But good on him. Good on him.
Yes.
So we all kind of did our own thing for a few years, and then some pretty serious stuff happened in my life, in my world, and my family and stuff, and it kind of got me back on the writing horse in about 2017. So we had got back together in 2013 and started gigging again, but we were just doing shows, kind of just having fun, and it was really fun. But we didn't really have an eye on, well, let's make some more original stuff. And then this stuff happened, and I've always been one of those guys that the stuff that happens has to get channeled in through music. And I guess during those happy years, it was too easy to just not worry about writing. And I became a soccer dad, and like I said, the other guys did other stuff. And then when the stuff kind of came down, it kind of got me picking up, well, I would say pencil and paper, but it's really computer, fingers on computer,
right,
and picking up the guitar again. And
it's therapy, though. Sounds like it's therapy, and it is for me too. I mean,
it truly is. It's very therapeutic to get it out there, and to it's kind of like going to a group meeting of some sort where everybody can just share what's going on with them in a safe kind of space. And for me, that's kind of what writing's about too. So that's kind of where Game Day came from. And just before we started that album, Ringo, who had been with us for, like I said, 21 years, had a kid quite late in life. And he and his wife and their little one decided they better move to a cheaper place than Vancouver and be around his family. So they ended up moving back to the city I'm originally from, coincidentally. And we were like, okay, what are we going to do? Well, there was one guy that had been a drummer in bands here that we had done tons of shows with, and we'd known him for, I don't know, I want to say like well over 15 years. And just always liked his drumming and liked him as a guy. So when Ringo said, I kind of got to go do my own thing, we was like, okay, well, there's only one logical replacement, and hopefully he'll be into it. And so I sent him a little message and said, Ringo's got to move after all these years. Are you interested in coming and filling in for us? And all I got back in these block caps was, fuck yeah.
Great.
So
great. That's rock and roll.
Yeah. So Steve and I were kind of like, okay, this guy's, he's keen, and we knew he was good. What we didn't really know at the time was that he had also become a really, really great recording engineer.
Oh, wow. That's lucky.
Very lucky with COVID too, right? Like,
Yeah.
Suddenly you can only do so much. So what do you do when you've got all these songs, but you can't really do much in terms of, going out in public and doing stuff. But we had just started recording the beds in the end of 2019. So we had recorded all the drum tracks basically, and we just kind of went, Adrian, our drummer, we just kind of did the rest of the recording with him. engineering at his house, and and we also, our bass player du jour left as well, or left in quotes, but so we asked my brother to come back in again. So once again, kind of like the revolving door, but couldn't have been better to be able to do the record with my brother again. And he's a fabulous musician, a great singer, and really good, not only a good bass player, but he plays keyboards and he plays guitar, and he had his own musical career down in Portland for 20 years too.
Okay.
So we had 4 guys that can all sing, and it was some pretty powerful songs for me personally to be able to get out there. So they mattered quite a bit to me. So I really wanted to get it right, and we weren't in any rush because it wasn't like we could go out and do gigs.
Right. Sure.
Right.
So it's like, let's just take the time and try and get it right. And so we did. So it took us a year to do the album, which, our third album, which I love, called Flash Arrows and the Money Shot, took us 15 days from start to finish, including mixing. And it sounds like really raw and garagey, and it's got its own fabulous vibe. But for this one, it kind of just felt like, well, we've got this time on our hands, and it's not like it's costing us oodles of money.
Sure.
So let's just take our time and get it right. And I'm really proud of it, and it's done well in the circles we travel in, which is you got to always put a little asterisk on that, but it's this wonderful I guess they call it like power pop community really embraced it, right?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yes, we love it. Yes, we love it, Vic. We really do. It's just fantastic.
Oh well, thank you, Troy. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, as we've had it on. Matter of fact, I think it's going to be. We'll have to check the analytics. I think it's going to be in our top 10 though this week. So that's awesome.
Sweet. Will you send me some tag me or whatever you do?
Sure,
just let me know to seek it out. And
Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you guys. I'm flattered. That's fabulous.
There's a lot I want to pack in here, and I know we don't have a lot of time.
I'm not in a rush. You guys just do whatever. Okay. Just let me know. Let it rip.
Was it you guys, Vic, that did the cover, did the My Brave Face cover for the Macca tribute? Was that you, or was that a different band? Okay.
So here's that is a different Star Collector.
Okay. We were trying to figure that out earlier.
Yeah, sorry, Craig. That it really is complicated. It shouldn't be this complicated because that band broke up in I don't know, 1999 or 2000 or something like that. But for some reason, they're like, even on our YouTube page, when you can listen to music on YouTube even if you're not watching videos.
Yeah.
Their album is on our YouTube page, and we can't figure out how to get it the heck off. It's just there. So once in a blue moon, some DJ will say, yeah, I want to dig into your back catalog and play some old song. And 99% of the time they pick something off our other 4 albums.
Yeah.
But that 1% of the time they end up playing some song off this other band. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? I don't even know that song. I mean, apparently the guy whose band it was is the nicest guy. I don't know him. His name's Joe Giddings, and they were based in Atlanta, and they did an album or two. And I think they were a little more poppy than we are, but still kind of power pop. They fit in the same thing. Oh, here's a funny anecdote about that, actually. So there's this one station called Mad Wasp Radio. And there's a bunch of shows on that station that play us. But every time that any of them play us, the bot that decides which graphic to use for our songs is that album cover. and I said to them, when it first happened, I said to one of the DJs, I was like, that's not our album cover. Can you get it switched? They're like, I don't think we can do anything about it, man. I think it's just, that's just the way it comes up every time.
Oh, that's crazy.
So yeah, so that's sort of a weird thing, but that's not us.
Vic, has it opened up there at all? Are you guys able to play out yet, or is everything still a little closed down?
Things pretty closed down still up here. I mean, the province I live in BC is actually been really amazing about COVID. I got to be honest. Our provincial health officer is like a rock star here, and she's been amazing and really confidently led us through the different phases of it so far. So, for better or worse, that also has meant that some of the venues have closed down permanently. And it's not like Vancouver, for all its cosmopolitan, metropolitan, in the global scheme.
Yeah, Vancouver's always had I think of this vibrant, fantastic nightlife, and scene, you know.
And it really, when it comes to live music, that's not the case, and it hasn't been even pre-COVID. And it's, I think, part of it is that the kind of music that we do appeals to guys our age.
Right.
And the 20-year-olds and the 19-year-olds that are going out to clubs are just not so keen on rock and roll, at least not in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So, it's EDM and it's dance music and it's, what they call R&B and all that now. And, or maybe country music, even if you're in some of the other provinces. But Vancouver is a tough slog for live music at the best of times. So, like the last shows we did, we went down to Seattle and Portland.
Right. Yeah,
I would think the scene in, I would think the scene would be pretty big in Portland, isn't it? Or
yeah, Portland and Seattle are still pretty vibrant for live music. Like my brother Adam, the bass player who's played with us, he lives in Portland.
Okay.
And he books a soft seater there, and I know that there and in Seattle there's still places to do gigs, but Vancouver's tricky. There's not a lot of places here, so we busied ourselves with recording and writing and doing videos and doing what we can to get the music out there, and it's been quite a learning experience, I gotta admit. Like when we made our last album before this, it was like 2006, and even though we were active for a lot of those years, we didn't actually release something to promote between 06 and 21. That's 15 years.
Right.
So the landscape changed a hell of a lot in the meantime and in between time. So we, it was a quick learning curve for us, but I think we've navigated it fairly well in being able to figure out how to use social media, how to use video, how to use, some of the tools that are there at our disposal to get the music out to the world.
go ahead, Craig.
I was going to say the 2006, is that the 100 Bulletproof album?
Mm-hmm.
The Kill Your Video. Love that song.
That's funny. That's one of those, like I write a lot of serious songs, and that one's not. That one's actually just I wrote that about my older son when he was a kid and was too busy to play, playing video games, and and then I'd crank up some music, and then the idea of the song, at least, is that he'd hear, I think I even quote some song titles like Rock and Roll Star by Oasis or, Anarchy in the UK or whatever. And he'd hear that pumping up, and then he'd throw his video game away and come back, and it would justify rock and roll again, right? That was kind of the idea in a nutshell. So that's funny that you like that one. That's kind of buried a little bit on side 2 on that album, but you never know, people just dig what they dig, and I'm just glad when someone likes anything we do. So thank you.
Well, there's two aspects I want to hit. Number one, Craig and I talk about this a lot. I'm hoping that our post-COVID world, that people are hungry to get out and listen to live music, because we've kind of not been able to do so. And that I'm hoping like the small venues will open, and I say small, but 200, 300. In the 60s, my older brothers, they could go to the teen dance club, in Louisville or whatever, these small clubs where bands could play. They might make $200 or $300 for playing, but that's enough to sustain and keep you going. So I don't know your thoughts on that, Vic. I'm being an optimist here, I know, but
well, that and that was really the case throughout all my upbringing and into the 90s and into the pretty much up until we took our hiatus there in about 08, 09. There were still lots of those types of gigs available, even up here in Western Canada, and something really changed in that sort of 10-year period, at least where we are. So I'm not a downer about it. There's a few places still, but it's much harder to just go and play those $300 gigs, and I think COVID's been 2 years now, so it'll be really interesting to see once we do open up. I'm glad. I know that I can tell because I see some of our contemporaries out there in other parts of Chicago and down in Los Angeles, like they are doing gigs again.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'm jealous as all could be, but but what can
I'm jealous, but I'm still leery. I mean, this summer when things had settled down here in the States, Craig and I went to see a band called the Nude Party, and we love the band, but I was a little, I was nervous. I was like hazmat suited up and everything, not that bad, but
close to it.
Where are you guys based? Where you guys live?
We're in Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Midwest.
Okay. Gotcha. Home
I'm
of the
about
Pacers.
30.
Yeah.
I'm about 30
Yeah.
miles from 30 miles from Louisville, and Craig's about what? Craig, 40 miles from Indianapolis, kind of
Yeah.
in the middle there.
Oh, Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a little ways away from me.
A little ways.
Yes,
Yeah.
A
yes.
little ways. bit of a walk.
But we love your music. And Vic, what we're hoping is that, we can get enough together where we could have enough gigs for you to make a swing, because we're kind of in the middle. You could do Chicago, Indy, Louisville, Nashville, kind of a swing through there someday, it doesn't hurt to
Have you
dream.
done any tours through the States or?
Yeah, mostly down the West Coast though,
Yeah.
because that's where we are and that's the most
Sure.
convenient. So we'll sometimes just do a jaunt to Seattle and Portland and then back, or
Right.
a while before that we went down and did that IPO thing in Los Angeles. So we'd play San Francisco and Los Angeles and Portland and Seattle and sort of do that thing.
Right.
But no, and it's too bad because I've actually found that I don't know, maybe it's something to do with our particular sound, but it seems like that there's a real I don't know, what's the wise words to choose here,
There's a real audience for it.
there we go, that's a nice way to put it. I think there's an audience for what we do, based on the feedback that we get from Chicago, from some of the Michigan, Buffalo, around
Yes.
that part of the states. I think has shown a lot of interest in us.
Yeah.
So as much as it would be, it's a hell of a trek from Vancouver to get to Chicago.
That's an expensive tour for you, I'm sure.
Just to get there
Yeah.
would be days and days of driving.
Right.
So either you fly and and then what do you do with gear? Like there's a lot of logistics.
yeah.
Sure.
So I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'd sure love it if we could. It's just, we have to sort of be fiscally responsible,
Yes,
Sure,
yes. Plus, I play in a band. Craig and I are both drummers too. So,
Oh, nice.
and we always say, well, yeah, let's go out. And, it's like, I can't imagine now driving a van for 8 hours and playing for 3, getting back. Oh, my back, my knee hurts. I hate to say it, just, starting to get a little old.
Yeah, honestly, that's one of the maybe it's something to do with this last year. But we are all getting older too, right? Like we all are. Everyone in the world is. But I was just saying this to the band the other day. It's like I get up every morning and I'm just thrilled to be like, I get up and I immediately go, oh look, 11 notifications and 5 shows just played us and we're on this chart. And it's just like it makes me feel like I'm 19, like every
that's
single-
great. Yeah.
And I just I don't I mean, and then I go, wait a sec, I have kids that are older than 19.
yes.
So that can't be, something must be weird there. But yeah, I just feel that way. I really do. I just feel like that same energy and excitement about music that I did when I was in the mods when I was 17 years old. And it just never leaves. So, it's a bit of a saving grace too.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's good.
That you can, it is great. I wish everybody had something that they were that passionate about. I mean, you guys are musicians, so you get it.
Oh yeah.
But not everybody has that, and
it's a release. It's actually it's therapy. It's a release. And Craig and I talked about this too. In my mind, I'm between 17 and 21. I still have that enthusiasm. Sometimes I'm 12. Hey, look at that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't ever want to lose that. One question before we let you go, Vic, about the cavern. Tell me that experience. Was it really?
Yeah.
I mean, was it? I know this is the rebuilt cavern. It's not the actual cavern. So.
Yeah, it's across the road, like directly across the street, kind of thing. They rebuilt it to look, and feel the same. So when you're there on the stage, and I mean, it's got that same sort of vibe about the whole area. There's still the Beatles statues, and we did the whole Beatles pilgrimage. We walked down Penny Lane and walked down to see Strawberry Field and went to see Men Love Ave where John grew up. And there's a funny anecdote I tell about that too, which I love, is we decided to do that walk and we got to where John's house was, and then we were turning to leave to walk back down the road, and it must have been just after school ended or something. And all these kind of like 10, 11-year-olds were back at their houses, and they were leaning over their fences as we walked by. And of course, we were all decked out in our total like rock star gear, right? Because this is what you do when you're in Liverpool and you're a Beatles fanatic and stuff. And they're laughing at us and they're poking fun at us. And you guys are such fucking posers and all this. And we just loved it. We just looked at each other and just started howling. It's like, well, yeah. How many people do this pilgrimage every single day?
Right.
Kids have to watch these musicians go back and forth. So, like I'm sure some guys kind of get their nose out of joint, but for us, we were just like, good on
That's
you
what
guys.
you've got to be.
That's
the
what
way
kids
you've got
should
to
be
be.
saying to us, right?
Yeah. That's great. Well, Vic, we have to run here, but I appreciate your time, and I'd like to invite you back on the show. We have a little more time, and I'd love to go over your influences and and your vinyl collection if you still have one and all that stuff.
I do. I'd love to, and give you some good Canadian CanCon to check out too that you might dig.
Oh, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah,
love
just let me know. I'm thrilled.
Would
love. Oh my gosh, look at that.
This is
This is okay. I don't have
listing
anything like that. Mine's just all sitting in a basement, basement room. Sorry.
But it's my therapy. Put on an album, play along with it. Love to do that. But
yeah.
Vic, we love your music. Love Star Collector. So thanks for hanging out with us in the garage. And about a month, we'll check in again if that's cool with you.
Absolutely, would love it. Yeah, no, I'm happy to do another one. We'll talk about some other stuff. But
awesome.
It's great to meet you guys.
Thanks for coming on. We're big fans. Great to meet you.
Oh, you too. And I hope everything's okay with your family too, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right. See you, Vic.
Talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.